Boys, I think it's time we talk a little Crimson Desert. This has been the talk of the industry from the good, the bad. But before we jump into how we're, get really into the nitty gritty, I just want to hit some high level thoughts if you guys don't mind. Nick, I want to start with you. You have definitely put the most time in between the three of us.
Mm-hmm.
And you, off the record, have told me you're really enjoying this game. So, kind of like I said, just give us a nice little minute of how you're feeling about this game, high level thoughts.
Yeah, so I've been playing a good bit. I think I'm into Act 5 right now, and it's fun. I enjoy it. So for me, it's as massive, if not, I think it's bigger than Valhalla. And we've talked a little bit about how that kind of puts me off to some games, but there's something about, I guess, there were some downfalls with Valhalla as well that kind of crushed it, I'd say. And one of them being the legendary equipment and things that you could get in the stores and different things like that. And, the pre-order bonuses kind of being some of the best gear. So then you don't have a motivation to go get gear. And then you're kind of just swamped with all these different tasks. What I really like about Crimson Desert, and I think that there could be an improvement probably in the story for people that want a little bit more of what's going on. But if you just are in it for the gameplay, the exploration, the combat, for me, it just hits home. Like, I love getting from point A to point B in this game. And it's very rare that I follow the same path. Like in Valhalla, it's you get on a boat, you get to the shore, and you go run up to the quest. Right? It was so repetitive. Like for this, I can go do an abyss mission and unlock a puzzle, and then I can jump down and fly to the area. On the way to the area, I might see a giant cave, or I might see a vendor, or whatever the case, and I'll go get entrenched in it for a little bit. But then you can, pull a tree back and slingshot your way across the map a little bit. Or you can, once you start unlocking a lot more of the traveling, it just makes it fun. You can call the horse if you want to go that route. I love getting into the fights. It's fun. I think we'll get more into the into the nitty gritty with it as we start talking. But yeah, I'm enjoying it, man. Like the NPCs definitely kind of just give you like a baseline of what's going on. Like, you're not going to go and talk to an NPC and hear their backstory or get a cinematic a lot of the times, but you know what you're supposed to do next. And for me in this game, it's good enough for all the other things it gives me. I understand what's going on and I get what I should be doing in the game. And for, at the baseline, it's good enough for me, especially in such a big game. It's kind of a shell shocker, and you said it too. But coming from RE9, which was such a well crafted story, to something that is a very base level story, is difficult. But I think if they went really deep with this story as well, with as big as it is, you would just be swamped with player interactions as well. So I think that might be a reason they didn't go too deep into the story.
I'll hold my thoughts before
Yeah,
I
hold your
kind of
thoughts because
touch
we could
into
get
what I think
sidetracked
about that.
immediately. That's why I'm trying to be tamed.
Yeah, you were. I mean, I appreciate it, and I got a lot I want to peel back on that. But like you said, we'll wait. But before we keep going, Dave, I know you probably. I would assume just because with everything we've gone on, you probably had the least amount of time with it. So far, what
Yeah.
are your feelings with what you've played so far?
Yeah, I really just got through the beginning. There was one, I think it was on Saturday. We put the girls down for a nap and I fired it up. I wanted to play on the living room TV. I felt like this is a game to sit back on the couch, have a big screen, really look at the world. And I was excited jumping in. I know Nick touched on the story. I don't know how in the depths we want to dive with it, but it was just like right at the beginning, they had that feature to fast forward. And I was like, whoever put this in the game,
Genius.
It's incredible because I quickly didn't care, but you still, in other games, if you just skip it, there's part of you that wonders like, maybe I should kind of know what's happening. So this is nice where I can just hold that button, kind of be talking to the wife or whatever, see that thing fast forward on the TV, and I thought that was a cool feature because like you touched on, Nick, like with such a big game, already knowing ahead of time, it's like this could be, easily like 100 hours of your life. And then if there's going to be continually just cutscenes or like interactions with the characters, that would slow the game down, so it's like they never advertise this as being like a Fable type where you're gonna go get married to everybody in the town and stuff like that. Like from everything we saw, it was like, oh, you're gonna go ride a dragon, you're gonna go, explore this huge world. So it seems like that's what they delivered on. And I haven't got out there in that open world too much yet, but just taking the horse, that's the only transportation I have so far. It felt easy enough, get around. It did feel, kind of Assassin's Creed style of just you're just plowing through like people's farms and stuff. Like you're not even like worried about ramming into people and stuff like that. Like the NPCs, you just knock them over and keep moving. I think some points you get that wanted level, but yeah, it was just cool things like figuring out. Like I started off like sneaking into people's houses, and I realized you couldn't steal anything, and I was like, what's going on? Maybe I have to like unlock the skill or something. And then like 2 minutes later, I find a mask. And then you read it. It's like you have to put on the mask to commit a crime. And I'm like, oh, okay. So then I remember what Nick was telling me, where it's like, just play the main story. Like, don't try to go, because that's what immediately I go to start exploring somebody's house, and I couldn't like I had to progress the game a little more to get the mask. So I was like, okay, like let's start doing these main missions and stuff like that. I don't know. I was thinking back like the intro of other games where you kind of get your wits about you and things like that. And I'd be curious to hear what your guys' thoughts. Because I know some games do that. They throw you right into it. The battle, like Crimson Desert did, you're fighting for your life. And other games, you think back to like Ocarina of Time. You're exploring little village. You pick up a chicken. Like you're learning the tutorial of the game through like the basics. So to me, it just felt weird. Like you go from this battle, you're this, you're already like this hardened warrior apparently, but then you're thrown into like these basics like arm wrestling and getting the kid's cat off the roof, and it like stuff like that didn't really fit for me, but I don't know. I got to play more of the game. I feel like I'm 50-50. It's like, do I want to put that many hours in? We talk about there's a lot going on. I know we're going to get in a marathon later. We have limited time to play games. It's like, do I want to hop on and go into the raid with you guys, or do I want to hop on, play like 2 or 3 hours of Crimson Desert and feel like I barely made a dent? If it's going to be the long-term game of the year, like I just play it throughout the year, that's perfect. But I don't know if it's something if you're playing maybe once or twice a week, you pick it up for a couple hours, are you going to remember, what you were doing, everything that's going on in such a big world? Like maybe this isn't the best game for a busy dad like this would be a great game if I was, about to be on summer break in high school. I would just fucking play all the time. But I don't know. I don't know if this one's gonna pull me in. Like I'm questioning, like, should I have bought it? There's other games pulling our attention. We know there's a Witcher DLC coming, or supposedly coming, and then GTA 6. Like I've been tempted to jump back into GTA 5 and spend 100 hours playing that, building up to like I don't know. I don't know if Crimson Desert's gonna pull me. I want to hear more of what you guys got to experience, and that'll kind of tell me like, all right, am I gonna go? Because that's where it's at with a game like this. It's like, are you gonna go 20 hours and then be like, I'm done? Because if you go that far in, it feels like you might as well complete, or you want to try. I don't know. Chris, what do you think? How did you like it?
I'm not a fan. I gotta say, I wanted to like Crimson Desert. I really did. I even chose it as one of my draft picks. I thought it'd be my sleeper hit. But for me, and it boils down to this, it just does. And I know they're working on this. I think maybe the patch already happened, but it doesn't feel good to play for me. Not only that, it's like you have this opening of the story, the intro we're talking about. What a horrible intro. And like we're gonna go through it all bits and bits, and I'll talk on why I think that, because it's like, and there's two things you both kind of touched on in your opening statements. It's funny that we play it like this, opening statements, but it's the fact that what I disagree with you guys on a completely fundamental level is I totally understand where you're coming from about the story. But I feel like that's a justification in the wrong direction. Just because your game is long does not give you the right to give me a crappy story. It doesn't give me the right to have hollow characters. just because you decided to make this 100-hour massive game, make me want to be in this world and exist in this world. And for that, that's a story. I think about Expedition 33's intro and how it immediately hooks you into this crazy world where it's like French, but it's like apocalyptic and people are disappearing and turning into rose petals. And in this one, this guy gets stabbed 30 times in the chest, gets his throat slit, wakes up on a riverbank like, all right, how we doing? And it's like, we're not going to acknowledge what just happened. We're not going to acknowledge that. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I was really confused.
It's just like, I mean, just to acknowledge, oh man, that hurt. Let me go look for my boys. But like, and it's like, there are things I do like about it. We can kind of jump in right now. Like that, my high level thing is I'm not feeling it right now. And to your point, Dave, where you said you put 20 hours in and drop it, I put about 5 hours in, and I know everyone says give it about 8 to 10 hours.
Yeah.
I'm just, and I do believe some games are time and place. Sometimes you're in the mood for something like that. Sometimes you're not. That could be a huge factor when you're playing big games like these. Going back, and Nick, I love that you brought up Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Assassin's Creed Valhalla at the time made me stop gaming for like 6 months. At some point, I was just like, dude, I don't know what it was about that game, but it took me a while. And the game that brought me back to gaming was Hades. And then I fell back in love with this hobby I've loved since I was a kid. But that's a tale for another time. When it comes to Crimson Desert, and we could start pulling at the string and really get into it, because I know we all have a lot of things about, but I think let's start there. Let's start with how we feel about that intro. You guys kind of heard my thoughts on it. I think it's cool. You kind of get right into the scrapping. You kind of quick introduction to the other character, the orc character, and he kind of runs off, and then you're in like machine heaven, and then you show back up on the thing. I mean, this isn't really spoilers, guys. It's like the initial part of the game, but and then you kind of run into like a hobo Jesus kind of guy, and he's like, hey, you did a good deed. Now you're going to be the ultimate hero. And it's like, and then you go untie a lady, and she's like, your kindness is unmatched. It's like, pretty sure anyone would find this poor lady tied in a cellar and untie her. But anyways, it's a very like, I just couldn't get behind it. And sometimes I can just turn off my brain when it comes to story and just play the game. And that's where I really want to start with this conversation, is the feel is what got me. It's like, okay, I can deal with not having a great story, but everything just felt so clunky to me. Like I'm trying to do, once you get your grapple arm, and I kept pulling out my bow, and I'm like, okay. And then you're like trying to like, okay, this we just taught you how to charge up your spirit. And so the next puzzle, games 101 should do your next puzzle should be related to you charging up your spirit. No, it's the force palm you learned like like 2 puzzles ago. It's just that kind of stuff. It's like the game doesn't handhold you, but it does at the same time. It like picks and chooses when it's going to handhold you and when it's not going to handhold you. And it's like, the onboarding of the game should have just, if you're going to do a tutorial and intro, just like, bake in at least all the basics and all the little things you need to know, and then let me learn the rest of it. I'm not asking like, teach me every single combo, teach me how to do these things. That's the stuff you need to learn on your own. But like fundamental stuff should just be there and ready to go. And it's like, and then before we keep going, we'll stick in the feel. But like, I do think the combat is fun, but I already feel like the combat's repetitive. Once you kind of get the best moves, you kind of, not the best moves, but you kind of learn the best combos, and you're still basically doing the same thing you're doing as if you were playing an Assassin's Creed in a sense. I mean, it's a lot more intuitive, I feel like, because it's not like draw your sword, wait, parry. You know what I mean? It's more of like go diving in the action. You can go unarmed, anything you want to go to. I can appreciate that about the game, but just the movement, looking around, everything just, for me, it just feels very clunky, and it's something I'm just not really vibing with, and something I'm not enjoying. And I see Nick ready to chomp at the bit, so kind of let's start there, Nick, because I know there's a lot we want to pull at. So let's start with the intro and the feel and feel of the game.
Before that, so I know me and Nick both played on Xbox Series X. Were you on your PS5 or did you go PC version?
PS5, superior console.
All right. Let's start with the intro. Was the intro the greatest cinematic and explanation of what was going on? No, it was not good. I'll get behind that. I'd agree. It could have been a lot better, right? They did not address what was going on. They don't really say what the abyss is, right? You just kind of end up there. Do I think that more of this is going to come out in the wash as you go through the story? Yes, because already some things that I've done to where you're starting to get a little bit more intel of what's going on. So it's more of a, and I don't want to compare it to like Skyrim or Oblivion because those had really good intros, but like you really didn't know what the hell was going on right off the bat either in any of those games until you progressed a little bit more and you're like, okay, I kind of see.
I don't want to cut you off, but can I pull at that real quick? The end, like you don't know what's going on in Expedition 33, you don't know what's going on in Skyrim, but they're good intros. You know what I mean? And I feel like Crimson Desert's intro is good up to the point of him not acknowledging getting his throat slit and thrown into a river. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Like he's like died and was reborn. It's like at least if he would have just made one simple sentence, I feel like it would have been.
You're too used to Leon Kennedy, Stan. You're too used to a one-liner after that.
Well, I mean, even a one-liner. Like
that point,
who's he gonna talk to?
If I woke up on a shore after I died, I'd be like, what just happened?
Well, that's the thing. Like, and Nick, maybe it changes as you get further, but he's like a basically he could be a nameless, faceless character. Like, and I saw some of that dialogue online where people were like, "Why can't you customize? Why couldn't you just have been your own character?" And at that point, like, if this character has no depth to it, like he doesn't talk much, and even right at the beginning, it's like there's a fallen soldier, and he's saying something about like you were the closest one to him or something like that, and he just goes and kneels by the grave, and he's like, "You will be missed," and walks away.
Yeah.
That's what you guys better say if I die before you. That's all I need you to say at my funeral.
Yeah. I'm not going to defend the intro. I'm really not. You guys are right. You've made good points. It's not, there could have been a lot more to get initial hooks in you. I will say that.
But Nick, real quick, and I think Dave, you made a great point about the character creator.
I did, yes. You could have just made a character.
Well, no, I think that would justify a little bit how I'm feeling, and now I'm thinking about it talking with you. I think that's the left. Well, I think it's the leftover of this game initially being an MMORPG, because that is your typical MMO opening, right? Like,
that
crazy stuff happens, you don't really react, and all right, let's go do a bunch of missions. You know what I mean? Like, realistically,
it might lean into. There's also 2 other playable characters, and I haven't played them yet, so maybe they keep it kind of subsurface. But I mean,
you've got one though, right? You got the one.
Yeah, okay. She just like shows up at camp, so it's like there's not a big backstory with her either. So I don't know if it's just like this is this game's way of like you could play as any one of these characters type deal and go through it.
I think
don't know.
And then that's the thing. Sorry, or go ahead, Chris.
No, I was just gonna say to that character, I read the codex. She does have a little bit of a backstory, but to your point, Nick, I feel like if it's gonna be a playable character, I feel like that give them some story a little bit.
Yeah.
You don't have to give me everything, but kind of give me a reason. And they alluded to it a little bit, but like she's like not a. I don't want to like that's kind of spoilerish, but it's like give me a reason why you're here with me, and then explain to me when I immediately switched to you why was Cliff like 3 miles down the road. I was like, it was like I accidentally switched to her just to see, and homie's all the way down the mountain. I'm like, dude, I just got up here.
Yeah. So
sorry, I don't mean to keep cutting off, man. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I think we all agree that the intro and all that was not the best. I don't think the story's the best. I've said that. I think that they could have gone leagues better in how they went about it. I think the character creations would have been a great idea because then you would have just been like, okay, this makes sense, right? You're kind of just a baseline character. Now, for the clunkiness and the controls, I have not had that issue on my end. And I've seen a lot of conversations about it. There's games I've played that the controllers are much more difficult, and I enjoy them. And, I think when Dave posted the short too about it, some of the commenters made good points. Like, look at like a fighting game, the amount of combos you have to remember. That's why I never really got into fighting games, because every 5 seconds I have to pull up a combo screen and it's like Y, B, B, down, left, right. And then, I hit a move. Or you look at God of War. God of War kind of ran a similar fashion. It was definitely more polished than this, but it was a whole lot of hit this trigger, then you hit the attack, and then you could do this move. And you don't have to do all those things. And if you don't want to do all those things, then yes, you can go down the line of like just hitting the whirlwind slash, which it is a great move. But I'm in Act 5. I think when you look at my level, I was like 30 or something like that. I don't know. I have a lot of artifacts, maybe 30 to 40, and I'm still unlocking new moves. So it's like now I can do the stab and do a faster slash, or I can double jump and do a body slam, or I can use the axiom grasp and sling someone to me like a scorpion hook, or you can invest in the bow and do different attacks with the bow. Or now I have a secondary that's a two-hander. I can hit a different combo and swap to my two-hander. Then I have like a whole different play style instead of sword and shield. And if you use a spear, it could be different as well. Bunch of different weapons. And
Yeah, that felt very Assassin's, because even at the beginning I had a few different weapons to choose from, and that it really pulled me back to like a Valhalla or something where it's like you can kind of be however you want. Like if you want to be the heavy two-handed guy, or be the stealth with a bow. I do like that freedom.
yeah, and I like that in this game too. And it's not as prevalent initially, but your armor really impacts your mobility as well. Whereas like Assassin's Creed, I don't think had that. Maybe it did, I don't remember. But like if you want to go heavy attack speed and real light armor, you could do that with like a one-hander, or you can go full tank, or you could go full ranger. I've seen people playing ranger and it's nasty, and I haven't really delved into that too much. Or when you go up on someone, how do you plan the attack? Are you going to hit a fire barrel, or are you going to pick something up? You can even pick up a tree and slam it down on a group of people, right? It's like you can do so much to the environment that I think it keeps the combat and like I said, the exploration really, really interesting. Apart from the story, like I said, if the story was great, for me, it would be a really, really high score. I think it's fair where it is right now because the story just is fairly trash, I would say.
Yeah, it's just like it reminds me like of a no, because there's like if you get into some MMO story is actually pretty good, but kind of has like the MMO story kind of build to it where it's all kind of clunky, and it's like I want to touch on what I do like about the combat. I love that you learn moves as they happen. Sometimes like some dude ran out of nowhere, drop kicked me, and I learned how to drop kick.
Right.
That's really cool stuff. Don't get me wrong. I don't mind the depth of the combat. Let me be clear there because I said that at the top of my thoughts. I really do enjoy that there are combos and you can tie moves in together. And I'm glad you brought up the axiom thing where you can. I love the slam with the tree and stuff. But for me, and again, like I know there's been a patch lately, so I haven't jumped in maybe in like a day or two. So maybe that's been fixed. But the combat, just the depth shouldn't feel as clunky as it feels to me is what I'm saying. Like even when like sprinting, I always find myself hitting like not hitting X, and I know that's a very Grand Theft Auto Red Dead Redemption thing to sprint with X, but we're so used to it being the analog stick, and it's not a big deal, don't get me wrong, but I just feel like yeah, you can have all this depth, but it just I don't know, sometimes it just does not feel like it ties well together, or like the dodge roll doesn't work as it does after you've unlocked it sometimes. But and again, it's not like deal breakers. I don't want to sound like I absolutely despise this game. I don't, and I agree with you. I think where it's rated is relatively fair. I don't think, you know what I mean? Now, someone just absolutely despising it, I can't see that. Just because this game hasn't clicked with me, the fact I can definitely see like the cool. And as I play it, and I do agree, the more you play it, the better it does feel. But I'm no stranger to build crafting and getting stronger as you play and unlocking cooler skills and becoming like just this monster of a human. You know, I mean, that's ARPG 101 right there. But
Yeah, I want to get on the dragon.
That's sick. Yeah, I want to get on the dragon. I want to get on the mech. So I don't feel myself completely stepping away. I think I still want to push a little bit harder on this. Like I've always told you, that Dragonkin games kind of got my attention. So I might go back to my dirty ARPG ways. Iosymmetric, that's how I am. But
I had a couple more things too after you
I
finish.
know, and I want you to. I'm going to throw it right back to you. Don't worry. I want you to kind of play off this if you don't mind as you continue. I really feel like great games hook you quick, and you don't need like this 10 to 15 hours. Like, hey, just hang in there. Like,
Yeah,
and I want a game to grow and make you stronger, but like I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm off base here, guys, but
But
Nick, back to you though.
let's say that, yeah, and I agree with you. But let's look at Valhalla again. Let's bring it back to that. That had a great intro, pretty badass one, and it had every character. It was super in depth. The character you played was super in depth,
Yeah.
and it got old because yes, it hooked you in, and you wanted to keep playing, but then it was just like it was just you just keep getting swamped with like a battle scene you go and see, or this cut scene of this fight, or you go talk to the governor of Athens and he walks you around in a bathrobe for 10 minutes and you're just like, all right, dude, like I want to play the game. You know what I mean? And it's such a massive game. So it's like, for me, this is like Dave was saying, I skipped the cutscene, dude. I'll play for 2 hours. And guess what? I can put it down for a week, pick it back up. I still got to go find the boys. That's all I'm worried about. You know what I mean? I'm not, what was that conversation with the governor? What do I need to go do now? You know what I mean? It's like, it's nice for me for that because it's like, I just did something in it and I can go back and pick it up and just like, all right, go to the next mission or go check out that building I see in the distance. You know what I mean? It's not like, I think it's gridlocked progression in terms of exploration until chapter 5, but like for Valhalla, it felt like you kind of had to go to the next areas because you couldn't progress to the other areas. So it was open world, but kind of like strategically locked to you in a way, where this is like, yeah, you can go do whatever the hell you want. If you go and do the main mission, you can definitely get more abilities and can go further and climb bigger mountains and, fly further and all those things to kind of make it easier. But, I think it kind of fits what it's supposed to be doing in this for me, to where it's just, you could pick it up, you can fuck around, you could throw a tree at somebody, you could get a jetpack at some point. I haven't unlocked it, but I've seen this. You could ride a dragon, you can go, tame the bear, get the bear, ride a bear. It sounds like there's a mountain lion too in it now. You can go get a pet if you want. So it's like you could go do these things, but you're not like stuck in this
It's a big
linear.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think you're right in a lot of what you just said. Because what I think my problem was, and I think, as gamers, we've probably all been guilty of this at some point. I believe I might have overhyped what I thought this game was going to be. I really, I saw all these things and I'm like, this is going to be it's going to be this sleeper that people kind of know about. Everyone's kind of talking about it, but it's going to come out and it's going to, it's going to be what Cyberpunk said it was going to be when we were talking about it. You know what I mean? Like before everything happened, we know how that whole story went. Eventually they fixed everything and now it's an amazing game and everyone loves it. But I think I think we all kind of see the issues that are baked into this game. And I know they're working on them and, working to fix them. But it does boil down to, like, when I said this, and, Dave, after what you said, maybe I'm just not in the right mindset for this type of game. I think maybe I'm still in that honeymoon phase of Resident Evil Requiem, coming off a very story-rich game and very linear, tight experience that 9.5 hours. You get this great story and action hero one-liners, and then I'm kind of getting my fill of turn your brain off action with Marathon. So I'm kind of getting both of those itches scratched, and it's like this game kind of seems like it's not Marathon. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say it is, but if it kind of follows that same path, a little less sweaty, a little less heart racing, but turn your brain off and just explore this world and and then, maybe it is to counter what you said, Dave, maybe it is the perfect dad game. Like, you don't need to remember the story. You're exhausted. You got 2 hours to game, and you just gonna hop in here. And maybe you finish a mission or two. You slowly chip away at this experience. I can see that too. And to your point, if this game would have came out and I was in high school, it'd been hard pressed for me to feel what grass felt like that summer, because I know I would have been addicted to this thing.
And it's a great baby nap time game because, like, playing Marathon when the kids nap is tough. You go to Xville or you just drop in, you got all your best shit, and the kids wake up. Oh, all right. Well, there goes all my shit. You know what I mean? Like, I could just pause this and you cut off the TV.
You're gonna lose all your shit anyway.
Yeah, you're not paying attention. You're too busy trying to get the goop, and you get sniped.
Yeah, but like a
I
lot of
get
the
totally what you're saying, though. It's you can pause
Yeah,
this
that's
game,
a
you can
great
pause
point.
Crimson Desert, step away for an hour, and you go back and you're good. Yeah, you do that in Marathon. Yeah, you're just a corpse, and
you got to
people
be
are
locked
laughing at
in.
you. Yeah, and it is. And again, like I don't have, you guys both have kids, so I totally understand. Like coming at it from that dad perspective is totally different than mine, right? Like if I go play Marathon, I don't have to worry about like the kids waking up or anything like that. I might have to worry
Right.
about work calling or something like that. That's happened, and I've lost all my stuff.
Yeah.
And I get it. Trust me. I had this line that I've been working on when you were gonna come at me with this, and it was like, if I have to convince myself I like a game, that's not a good sign, right? And I shared that with you before, and it's like, as I continue to think about Crimson Desert, and that should be a good sign that I do think about, even though I haven't been playing it. It's like, why don't I like it as much as I want to? And that's the question I've been dealing with myself. And I think it's the lack of like a good story, because like I do enjoy all the gameplay and everything like that. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like I don't enjoy it enough. Back to Dave's point, to spend 100 hours doing all that stuff if there's nothing except like the exploration of the world. And because I love Skyrim, but I really like being the Dova King and being the last, you know what I mean? And like, yeah, you're doing all these little minuscule things on the side, but this grand story of you having to take out Alduin, the World Eater, and is in the background, you know what I mean? And you're fighting all the is like his kin and all this stuff, and learning the shouts and everything. But this one, it's like this daunting idea of this 100-hour experience of a story I'm not going to enjoy. And yeah, I just get a couple cool swords and stuff. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not at this moment, and I'm a little bit overcritical because I'm not in the mood for something like this. But I don't know. How do you feel about that?
I'm gonna do one more. I want Dave to hop in too. So two things with it. One, do you think the hype factor of how hyped this game was? Let's say it was, I picked it up and I said, "Oh, this game's pretty cool," and you gave it a try and you went into it blind, and we weren't watching all these crazy cinematics and hearing all these people talk about it, to where I was thinking the same thing. I was let down by the story initially because I've heard all these things about it, so you want everything about it to be good. I don't know. Maybe would that have swayed some people? Maybe not, from what it sounds like, what you didn't like about it. But the other thing I will say is what I think this game catches a lot of flack on and is not fair is it is an open world game, just as Skyrim is. When you get out of Helgen, if you decide to go run up the damn mountain and go go do the mission with the Way of the Voice, you're not going to be able to do it, right? You can go there, you can go and do that, but you have to at some point entrench yourself back into the story to advance the game. Same thing with Oblivion. If you never deliver the Amulet of Kings, you would never even open an Oblivion gate. So you know what I mean? It's kind of like, I think a lot of people are wanting to just like go do whatever in this game immediately, but all games follow the aspect of you at least have to pass through the main story, to unlock what the whole world has to offer. This one is definitely way more open in what you can do, and I think that just a lot of people are trying to do everything in it without, you got to establish the camp, you got to go through the couple things, and those things are fun mechanics, and they expand even more once you unlock more things with them of what you can do and upgrades and world building. And it's, some people may not like it, but Fallout follows the same thing. Skyrim follows the same thing. Ultimately, you got to go through the main story, and if the main story was great, it would make it 10 times better. But I
That was
will
gonna be my
say,
point. Yeah.
yeah, but I will say the story it makes enough sense to where it's like, I think it will progress into something a little bit more. I think it will become more apparent. Like, you definitely have a main enemy to fight. You identified that in the beginning, the bears. And so I think that, it's going to be set up for some really cool fights and, stuff like that. But I think just any open world that you try to go off the beaten path too much without getting your character built up enough, is going to leave a sour taste in people's mouth.
No, I see where you're coming from with that. I just also feel like I'll answer your first part of your question. If I didn't have all the hype built up, just kind of like, like I just talked about that Dragon Kid game, if I just came across this, I would still think I would have the same problems, but I think they probably wouldn't be as amplified, in all fairness, because as the honeymoon phase is very real, so is like this disappointment of not getting what you thought you would.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I felt. I just felt like everything was just overdone. And to like Skyrim's point, I feel like it's not really a fair comparison because boiled down, Skyrim's a very simple game, right? And it's very simple combat and everything like that. Like, yeah, you get strong and stuff, but it's not nowhere near as complex as Crimson Desert is. And I don't mean it as a bash on either game. You know what I mean? I think it's just two totally different experiences. I agree. Like, you should engage with the story, but like, if the story is so like they knew this wasn't an engaging story because they wouldn't have put that fast forward button option in there. You know what I mean? Like and honestly, you should just have a skip button at that point. You know what I mean? Like most games do. That's not, but like the fact that there's just a fast forward button so you can skip through it so you can get to the fun part of the game. I'm just not a fan of it. That's just kind of all it is. And it's like, yeah, I understand having to engage with it, but if I have to engage with it, but it's not great, so now you let me fast forward through it. It's like, kind of what are we doing here? Kind of what's the point of even having it there? Kind of give me
Right.
kind of just embrace what you are is almost what I'm saying. Like, okay, we got the bears that hate you. You could have done that intro any way you wanted to do it, and then you're just kind of free, and then you know what I mean, maybe you stumble upon different things, and it's still about finding the boys, but like, does that make sense?
Yeah,
Like, kind of
I
like,
do, but that's a very hard layout for a game that
yeah,
size. You know what I mean? You ultimately have to have some path you follow to understand the
yeah,
game, and I
you always
really
will
think
need
that
the golden path.
yeah, and I think that's the path that they're going where it's like, we know maybe, and I'm just saying this, we know we are not good at telling a good story, but we know we have good gameplay. And ultimately, with any game, I would rather play a game with good gameplay and a bad story, but when they both are great, that's what makes a great game, right? So that's why I said it's not the game of the year by any means, but for me, it's fun enough.
No, and I'm glad you're enjoying it, Dave. Before we jump away, I kind of want to get your final thoughts after hearing both Nick and I go back and forth. But I'll end it with this: not by any means is Crimson Desert a terrible game. For me personally, where I am at as a gamer, where I'm at in my current state of life, it's just not what I'm looking for, like I thought it would. Because this is totally a crisp coded game in every way I can think of. But for whatever reason it is, and like maybe talking with you boys, I kind of see why. It's just for me currently, if someone asked me, is this an immediate buy? And that's kind of where I wanted us like to leave it right here. And then Dave, hear your last little thoughts. But like it's for me, if it was like what we asked about Resident Evil, buy now, wait for a sale, or stay away from it. For me currently, it's just like wait for a sale, or just if you're not fully sold on it, I'll just leave it at this. It's not a must buy for me. And I do kind of like, okay, I'm glad I bought it, kind of got to experience it, but I'm also like, kind of have buyer's remorse. Like, I should have got this. But there's so many games around. But I am happy that it rang true with you. And that's what I think the beauty of video games, too. It's like, it's going to sing for some people, and other people, it's going to be like, you know what I mean? That's just the nature of this this hobby we all love. But I hope that it eventually gets its hooks in me. I'm not going to step away completely. I'm still going to jump in here and there. And then maybe I'm singing a different tune in 2 weeks, and everyone could trash me in the comments and say I'm flip floppy. But it's just at this moment right now, after coming off Resident Evil and plans, and everyone's like, "Well, no, you're playing marathon, so you feel like Crystal." But and I am enjoying marathon, and we'll kind of touch on that next. But it's just not hitting me the way I wish it was. Nick, so before we let Dave kind of tell us his thoughts after hearing us kind of go back and forth, we were a little more calm with each other than I thought we would be. We were kind of
Yeah.
amped up on the phone the other day, but is this a must buy for you with the time you've put in? If someone came and asked you, like, "Hey, man,"
It's a tough question. A must buys is hard. It's definitely you have to enjoy this type of game. So I would be hesitant to recommend it to everybody like I would like Resident Evil 9. It's just like, oh, it's a great experience. But for me, it's a buy for me. I'd almost lean on to it's worth waiting for a sale. But like I said, I mean, this is a game to me where I'm going to play it for a long time. to me, it's like a single player MMO to where I don't have to do the MMO grind and I get to experience this world. And if a new game comes out, I'll put Crimson Desert down for that time, and then I'll hop back in and continue on and kind of chip away at it until it's run its course. I'm definitely not going to 100% it, and I'm not in love with it to that degree, but it's fun enough for the price of admission. I put enough time into where my money was worth it as of this conversation, and I know I'm going to pick it up intermittently throughout the year as we wait on other drops. So
I mean, no, I like that. So Dave, you've been hearing us kind of go back and forth. How are you feeling about continuing your journey in Crimson Desert?
Yeah, as a amateur achievement hunter, it's definitely discouraging. I pulled up True Achievement right here just so I could read some off to you guys, but this is a completionist game. It would be probably so many hours. It doesn't, a lot of times on True Achievement, it will show you after the game's been out for a while, it'll show you like Resident Evil will say like 20 hours estimated if you want to get all the achievements, right? But Crimson Desert doesn't show up yet because I don't know. I don't think anyone's gotten all the achievements yet.
Yeah, I guess the estimated time was 200 hours for the platinum and then all the achievements.
Yeah, it's discouraging. I mean, Nick just said it. He's going to put some time in, but he's not going to. You can't 100% this. And I put out a short. I think it was yesterday, and somebody put a great comment. It's like, well, have you even 100%ed Skyrim or The Witcher yet? Like, there's all these great games that have hit such high ratings, and they'll be they're classics now. They're forever cemented as some of the greats. So it's like that's where it's so tough. It's like I am really curious about this game. I mean, I want to go, like I said, ride the dragon and do all that stuff. You can get the pet dog. It's like there's so many things I want to do, but then it's just that, like you said, it's also like, is there buyer's remorse because there's all these other, you think it's like these other great games I haven't finished or 100%ed. So I don't know. I'm definitely going to put some more time in, but mainly because it's part of our job. I don't know if we weren't doing this show. I don't know if I was just regular, your average gamer with limited time, and I don't know if this one would have got me, but I'm definitely curious enough to get more. As far as the story goes, I want to make sure I hit the things you guys were talking about. I think to me, Zelda is a perfect example with Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. It's like, was anyone that invested in the nitty gritty? It's like kind of basic. It's like, okay, the girl got taken by the bad guy. We got to go save the girl. That's kind of all you need. Like, and then throughout the whole story, like you're just going off on these tangents. You're going to meet the Gorons and all these. It's like none of it matters that much. I couldn't sit there and tell you everything that happened in Breath of the Wild, but I could tell you it was a great experience just because the mechanics of the game and the base story. So it's like Crimson Desert could have taken that approach, the basic, back to Super Mario. It's like, go save the girl. That's your mission. Whatever, all the details, the rest doesn't matter, but they started with such a weird, it's like, wait, what? Who is this guy? Who are, like, do I need to go kill this evil tribe, or should I just go start a life somewhere else? They could have made it much more simple. I think that's what they should have done. If the story's not the main focus, just make it simple. Oh, your wife got kidnapped. You got to go. It's going to take you 100 hours to get her back. It could have been easy. I think they made it harder on themselves with the story. As far as the hype factor, that's the world we're living in. You guys the other day, I was just like, it was kind of a joke, but it was also kind of true. Like Highguard, the night we hopped on Highguard was fun. I'm gonna remember that this year. Like when we look back, and it's like, why did that game just get destroyed? It was the snowball effect of the public. All the people commented dead game in the comments enough times, and it sure enough became a dead game. And that's what happens with this hype factor. Like you said, Nick, if you just pick this game up, if you were like 17 years old, some guy at GameStop was like, hey, you should try this, and you brought this game home, it would be like, this is crazy, dude. You'd be telling all your friends about it. But we live in the world with the internet. it kind of already plants this seed in your mind. When I was at work, I listened to one of the Kind of Funny Games episodes, and like all these guys, and it was a mistake. I should have just went into the game blind, but they started planting seeds in my head because the guys on Kind of Funny Games were not loving it. And so it's tough now. We're in this internet era, this world where I want to listen to some of these other shows, hear what they think, but then if I hear what they think, I'm like, is it even my own thoughts anymore, or am I going into this game like, with other people's thoughts in my head, So I don't know. I said it earlier, like I'm 50-50. I want to play more, but like you guys said, I don't know if I'm not like telling people, you got to get this, like Red Dead Redemption 2, some of those titles stand out where I'm like, oh, you got to play this before you die. Like it's awesome. And Crimson Desert's not in that category. I think it's cool. Everyone's fresh off Resident Evil. It's like, what's new? Here you go. There's something new. Grand Theft Auto was supposed to come out in April. Could you imagine if GTA was right around the corner? Like Crimson Desert would not be in. But it's because there's kind of a gap right now. We've got. I'd have to check the calendar, but I think there's some stuff coming out the next couple months. But we've got some time to play this game. So it kind of fits. But if we didn't have time to play this, I don't know if we would, be talking about it.
That's a good point.
That's a great point to look at it, yeah. No, and I think we'll leave it there. This was a great early impression of Crimson Desert.